You're okay. No, it's okay. There's a lot of information in there.
Just not going to sit down.
Yeah. All right. We will call the meeting to order for Brookings County Commission for December 20th. Please rise for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We'll invite an invitation for citizens to schedule a time on a future commission agenda. Not listed. Is there anything? Not seeing anything. All right. Approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes or adjustments to the agenda this morning? Okay. Seeing none or hearing none, we'll approve the agenda as is. Consent agenda, approval of minutes, approval of travel and education requests, approval of personnel action notices, and human services report. Is there anything, any changes or anything that removed from the consent agenda? If not, I'd look for a motion for approval.
So, second.
Second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, routine business, approval of claims. Look for a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion on the claims. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, department head reports. Robert, would you like to get started? Sorry, sat down, back up again.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
First of all, we'll start with my written report. We went to December the 8th. Deputy Director Hagen went to Watertown and met with the committee that does the Department of Agricultural. They're looking for the best places to locate large animal feeding operation type things. The study is called CSAP, and he attended that, and the feedback from that is that it looks like within the first planning district area, just about every county's got different standards and rules, and so they're still trying to figure out what to do and how to get the best study out and get a good report out to us. December the 8th, we had a PPCC meeting. December 8th, I participated in a conference call with the NACO Justice Committee. December 8th, I attended the Joint County Commission / City Council meeting and heard about the plans for a possible overpass for 20th Street. I heard talk that they may bring back in the Transportation Committee, ad hoc committee that they had in the past. I don't know for sure, but I wanted this board to know in case we get some new members here that I was on that at one time. And I do not know if I'm on it again or not, but I'll keep you informed. I'm not trying to go around anybody secretly on that, but.
It was my understanding it was the existing committee that
Okay.
would be included.
Okay, I just want to let everybody know what's going on, so no surprises. December 14th, I went down to Aero Status Center. They had a Homeland Security Planning meeting for first responders workshop. They're going to have a big exercise in the Sioux Falls area, January, February timeframe. December the 14th, I came back and had a conference call with the Access and Inclusion Caucus, which is what we know as people with disabilities type thing. That was with the International Association of Emergency Managers. We have been working on a couple issues. The first issue is Brookings Gun Club out by Sagenta out towards Aurora. We have drafted a letter. We've gone through the Deputy State's Attorney's Office. I've talked to a couple commissioners. There's been correspondence mainly with the county commission, and then it's been relayed back to me, and there's been some concerns. So basically what I did is my staff and I drafted a letter to go out to that particular property that's concerning with the gun club issues is actually one of those, looks like it's a contract for deed situation. So the letter is going to go to both owners, the actual owner and then the person that's got the contract for deed on that. And basically what the letter does is it just basically states that, the gun club's an existing use. It's going to be allowed to be a continuing use, and we wanted all parties to understand that up front. Is there any concerns from the commission on that?
I guess, Terry, a question for you. Is there anything then that their use, even if he builds there, and that they would be able to go to some law that would say they're trespassing by, the shot that's being shot into somebody else's property or anything like that, that would overrule anything that we do here that turns around and tells them they can't do what they're doing anymore, even though common sense probably didn't go very far in this if it continues to go. But, if intentions are that, is there something there that we need to be prepared of,
That would be a civil matter. That wouldn't be a county matter. That would be between the two landowners.
Okay.
So as far as the county's, as far as the nuisance aspect, it's there right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can look into some more of those concerns, but the county would maybe be addressed on it. I'd have to look at that a little closer before I could say yes or no. There wouldn't be anything out there because the law is never common sense.
Right,
So.
right. No, and I would just hate to, we got to do what we got to do with our letter of our zoning and our that kind of stuff. And we've told, people that and everything like
Yeah.
that. But
as far as further nuisance down the road, I can look at some scenarios. And
that we would help. Go ahead.
The letter that you're going to send out, Bob, have the buyers asked for a letter, or are we sending that out because of the concerns expressed by the gun club?
I am sending that letter out based on concerns based from the Brookings County Commission, ma'am.
We have gotten letters
But are those, and I just...
from the gun club.
The gun club was
Yes.
all I could
Yes,
remember.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah, well, I
So-
don't know if it's by the commission, if you want to take a nod of the head, but I encouraged Bob I called Bob several times just on several questions. For one, something to think about, by the way, is there a section on gun clubs or ranges in the county ordinances, as far as setbacks and things like that? And you couldn't find any, could you, Bob? So, but I personally think it's great, but maybe we need to have the commission all nod their head that we approved the letter. But yeah, gun club was concerned the first time it came out 2 years ago, and then of course it kind of went away. But now that there's some activity there,
And what is the activity that is there?
Well, he cleared ground, he took trees out, and he's got a pad for a building.
But he's
Not
not,
a building.
he has not come in for a building permit yet.
Not yet, no ma'am.
Okay.
If you'd like to put the camera up.
And that's fine. I guess what my concern is, are we jumping the gun in sending a letter from the county to the owner of the real estate saying, we have some concerns before they've asked us for anything? That's my question to y'all.
well, they haven't. As far as I'm aware, the guy that bought the property that wanted to build the house or shop or whatever it is, the gun club definitely.
But
I
if
guess
they-
we should see the letter first, but I think
But if he's
I
already put in a
support-
pad.
Yeah,
I hate to be a referee on this whole thing, but the gun club has legitimate concerns, and I think we should just let our citizens know what the laws are, I guess. As far as your lead shot, that was a good question. I started thinking after Terry's or shot going across her answer, yeah, it'd be a civil matter because it came up in game fishing parks a couple times. But that's from the road right away, which is another issue. So, yeah, it'd be a civil.
So, but this letter is more of an explanation, or, I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Yeah,
think,
basically, it breaks it down when the land was initially divided into a gun club situation, which was 1963, and it goes into how this property over here where my pencil is was allowed to be separated, because what the deal is now is this shelter belt here that's in this photograph is gone. All that is now is bare land.
and that really got the gun club worried again.
Yeah.
Because that was a natural
A
barrier,
buffer,
a
yeah.
barrier buffer that was taken out.
Here, this is the right-of-way line, so I'm standing on US 14's public right-of-way, and here is the shelter belt now, whereas in the past, the shelter belt went all the way up to that US 14 marker, right there.
So landowners showing signs of
Okay.
development in there, which also was a question: why would you take, if you're concerned about, encroaching of shots or nuisance? Why would you take out a natural barrier that would help protect that from happening? And I think that's a concern.
And so my question is where they're putting the pad, that would be in the area where there would be some concern from the gun club as relates to safety issues. Is that correct?
I mean, that's conjecture, whatever the fancy word for that is. That's just until the residents or building is built, we don't know the angles. As you can see from the photograph there, if they use the existing pads that they're on now and shoot, by the time they ended up, unless they got an odd shot, chances of anything ever hitting over there is slim, in my opinion. But
Bob, is there any, if they were to plant trees back in there, is there any setbacks you would have to?
they'd have to come back in now and get permission from the gun club to plant their shelter belt. And if the gun club wants to go with, the gun club could not plant trees back on their property any closer than 50 feet to the existing shelter belt. That's the setback rules right now for shelter belts. 50 feet from adjoining landowners, unless you got a letter signed by the landowner.
So Bob, if they came in and asked for a building permit where they put that pad, would you issue a building permit?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that what we're saying is fine? Because that's what that letter says. You got to have a building permit, and it indicates that we're going to give a building permit. Are we giving a building permit? Then
I
I'm
don't
not
think we have
quite sure what we're
I
doing.
don't think we have a choice. I mean,
Well,
if he conforms with all the setbacks and the guidelines and everything, he has
We have to get
an existing building site. We have otherwise we're going to end up in a lawsuit if we don't follow through with what's in our
Then why
ordinances.
are we sending the letter? We're just saying you need a building permit?
Yeah, we're hoping.
Well, I think he's explaining that there's a prior use next to you, and there's been alleged threats, whether they're true or not, but just to prevent that, he's going to get them shut down. Now, whether that's true or not, I have no idea. but-
Actually, the letter, I think it's the citizens from the gun club that were concerned, not the owner of the land. He's doing his thing. So I feel like a letter should be directed to the people who have addressed us as this being a problem. We've had 2 different people contact us, and they're the ones that are concerned. I don't think this guy's too worried about anything, but
No, but we do want this gentleman, landowner, to understand the rules.
Right.
That's all we're asking in the
Absolutely.
letter.
but I feel like it then should at least be copied to the gun club or the 2 individuals who have contacted us with concerns.
By all means, that's
And should we just be more upfront in that letter? I'm just asking this and just say, because you read the letter, and I read it fast because we're all sitting here, but just to say you need a building permit. Okay, and I know we went through all the other stuff, but maybe we need to be a little clearer. I'm just throwing this out to say that we would like you to be aware that the gun club is there, that they do shoot toward the direction of that property. They will be able to continue doing that after you build. you need to take that in consideration in your plans. I wonder if that, we shouldn't be more blunt in that, because it's not our intention to shut down the gun club. Am I correct on that? Okay, so I'm just thinking we should be a little plainer in our language of what we're trying to say. We're going to give a building permit according to our building permit rules, but it is not our intention to shut down the gun club, and they need to take that into consideration in some way. I'm just throwing that out.
Okay, what we will do is take the letters all back and go back to stage 2, and I'll be in touch.
Okay, I do think Commissioner Miller has a good idea that it could have an address to either the president of the gun club or the associate, who's ever,
By all means.
so they get a chance to see what was sent and everything like that too. So everybody, both parties have notice of what we're stating. So
Yeah, I mean, you did say in the letter that that was an existing.
Existing use, and
going to
in the letter,
continue.
it also, during our research for this, we actually found the original deed where there was a house there in 1935 on a property that was, so it's not just the memory of a 99-year-old man that there was a house there. We've got proof there was a house there.
And I don't think that's at issue.
No, but just in case it ever came up, that is all rectified now. We did find that in our research, thanks to the Register of Deeds' diligent work in assisting us.
I appreciate you getting the facts out, because that has been brought up. I've seen it in a written form, in an email I think you saw it, Larry. And so there is a lot of misinformation. I just want to clear the air, and I appreciate that. Gun clubs need to see this, and I like proactive. This guy's got a vision, let's say, and he has nothing to do with screwing over the gun club. He's got this vision. All of a sudden comes in for a building permit, and his vision is now destroyed. Well, you're going to have somebody a little upset. So cut the vision off right away and say, that gun club's going to be shooting there Thursday nights, and they're there and they're going to be over there. So
You can be there, but they are too, and they're not going away.
yeah,
That's
plan
the
accordingly.
bottom line. Yeah.
Yep, and that's what the letter needs to
Yes,
say.
yeah.
Okay, we'll continue on that. Moving right along. There is a meeting today at 1 p.m. It's the Brookings / Department of Environment and Natural Resource Big Stu River Basin H&H Modeling Project that I discussed a month or two ago with you. That meeting starts at 1 p.m., goes to approximately 2 p.m. I will not be at that meeting. I am going to do my best to get Richard to that meeting, and I'll talk about where Richard is here in 1 second. But if any county commissioner wanted to go to that, you're more than welcome to. This is the start of where they're modeling the whole. Well, here it specifically singles out 6 Mile Creek, but this is where they're. This is not the FEMA project. This is the ENR's project on watersheds and part of the water thing. So Mr. Gilbertson will probably be over here, and so if any commissioner has time at 1 o'clock, this would be a good meeting to go to. It should be in the room right next to us at the conference room. Well, I'll have someone from my office in attendance. It won't be me, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
And what day is that again?
Today,
That
ma'am.
is today.
1 p.m. And I had mentioned that earlier on some people's calendar, but I wanted to bring that up again just before I forget it. Next up, the home show in 2017, the local emergency planning committee. We did get our federal grant, and of course, it's a budget line item for Brookings County. The dates on that is February 18th and 19th, 2017. Local emergency planning committee will pay for a booth, and they invite any other office from Brookings County that would like to participate, put flyers up, anything like that. You'd be welcome to. NACO Legislative Conference is coming up. There is a committee meeting for that committee that I'm on. And since it's 2017, I don't have a travel request in. You'll see it at the first 2017 meeting. This one's going to be a little confusing because the NACO Legislative Conference runs right into a federal meeting that I've got with the Department of Transportation. And they're willing to, for the better of language, go halvesies. You know, if everything works out and the feds don't cancel their meeting, they're willing to pay my way back to Brookings if you guys are willing to pay my way to Washington to attend the NACO conference, and then stay there for, we would pay for the hotel for the NACO conference, and then once I leave the NACO conference, I move over to a actually better hotel for the Department of Transportation, and then they take the bill from there per diem, whole 9 yards, and get me back home. Does the commission have any issues if I work something like that? As long as I do a proper travel request and let everybody know. It's not double dipping. I don't get paid by both entities full price. That's not what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Just trying to save some money. Otherwise, I gotta go there, fly back, not even leave the airport and fly back over, and that's just irritating. Okay, Leadership Brookings, we did miss that. Although something came out of Leadership Brookings that was brought to my attention, that there's not a shelter list on our website, and a shelter list for severe storms for each small town community has been prepared. It's in the process of being put on the website now. At the next meeting, hopefully I can tell you it's there and give you the
It's
link
there.
to it. They did put it on? Okay, thank you. I know they've been working on it for me, so very good. And our LEPC grant has been approved for next year. We talked about that. Next up, Brush Lake. We have got people back out at Brush Lake this morning again. We've been out there. I had Mr. Hogg, and he left Brookings County at 7:30. We're up on Brush Lake Hill waiting for Department of Environment and Game Fish and Parks to come. They hit some bad weather on I-29 coming up, but the search should resume today as soon as everyone gets on board and they get up there and plow the road down to the lake. And Cottington counties should be on site by now also at the same time, depending on the weather conditions. We are going to continue the search until the outcome is successful. And I've been keeping 2 of my county commissioners directly related to my department informed whenever we go out to the lake. The last thing I do before I go home at night is send an email out on what the status of that day. And we go from there. Public information from the search has been coming out of the Sheriff's Department and a little bit out of the Brookings County Fire Department, but the search area is in Arlington's fire district. And of course, Brookings County pays towards Arlington because of our fire funds, and that area happens to be part of the Arlington Fire District. So the Arlington Fire Department has stepped up. The fire chief there, Mr. Schmidt, does a good job, and he's running it from their side. Game Fish and Parks has got the lead on it right now, a guy named Jeremy Waskovich. And the Red Cross, we've got them coming back out again today. I've been in contact with a family member, Cindy Schmidt, who used to work for Brookings County. She's the person I talk to from the family whenever I have to relay information. And other than that, we've done everything we possibly could up to this time. We've brought out dog teams. We brought down Cottington County. We've had GIS involved, volunteers, National Weather Service. And we'll keep going from there. Any questions on that?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say, Bob, thank you for everything you've done on this, because I'm thinking this might have been the toughest job you had in 2016. And you've been out there and involved from the beginning, and we appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. I think, Chris, you have something coming up a little bit here. We'll go. Vicki, would you have something, or do you want to wait? You have other stuff on the agenda too. Do you want to come up? Do you have a report too? Okay, let's do that then. Sheriff, anything? Okay, Richard.
Just a couple things. Andy Vandell with the DOT informed me yesterday that we are eligible for a rumble strip test project, and he'd like to do the project as like a standalone rumble stripes It's a safety type thing they're coming up with where they'll put the rumble strips right in the edge line, and then they'll repaint the edge line. They took a random approach and kind of a systematic approach. They took average daily traffic. And so the 3 sites that are eligible are Highway 77 from Highway 14 to Highway 30, the 26A, which is from Bose down to 324, and the last one is, or could be, 33, or Highway 33 going from Elkton south to the county line. So I guess when I talked to them, I thought my recommendation, the best example would probably be 77 North because of the traffic and the design and the profile of the road. It would be an excellent, you'd get the rumble strips where they need to be. So unless, and this is at no cost to the county, and the project would be done in 2018 is when they do the construction. And so if you would have a better choice or whatever, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll get back to them with the 77 North.
You said the magic words at no cost to the county.
Yeah, it's kind of a miracle for the state to do that anymore, but
You should talk to him about bridges.
well, it is close to Christmas. We can.
Sheriff?
Hey, Dick, what can you do other areas? I've had calls prior, and we looked into it a few years ago, it was before you, Aurora residents at, when you get to 14, we're talking about rumble sticks at that, and we checked on the price, and it was a lot of money at that particular time.
Yeah, I could get more specific answer from him, but he said because of the random occurrence of these types of accidents that the rumble strips would be of value, that the average daily traffic was one of the things they looked at highly. But I can ask him if 23 would be a possibility.
I think Marty would like to see where it comes up to Highway 14 for basically the intersection is approaching.
Right.
Dick's talking about on the white line.
Oh.
Yeah,
The edge
oh,
line.
yeah. Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm
That's right.
foggy.
Yeah.
No,
I know Marty's concerned. We've had a few calls on that.
Oh,
when it's
okay.
foggy, some people don't realize that Highway 14 is coming up.
Okay, yeah.
Especially
no,
on a
this is-
foggy morning. I
Right.
apologize.
Yeah, okay. So, and then, secondly, we've been just mainly snow plowing and fighting brutal temperatures, finishing up the inventory, so that will be done. And this week, we'll be sending in the bridge grant applications. So we should be finishing up the year on a pretty good note, I think. So, have any questions at all?
All right, thank you. All right, it is 9 o'clock, and we have a scheduled agenda item, public hearing for consideration of proposed supplemental budget resolution. I would now open it up for a public hearing. Is there any proponents that would like to speak to it? Any proponents? Okay, is there any opponents that like to speak? Any opponents like to speak? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and open it up to discussion to the commission. Action to approve Resolution 16-37, a resolution approving a supplemental budget to the county building fund.
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion.
This is for the Sinai, the new shop, highway shop in Sinai. Dick had, over the last several years, had budgeted money within the county building fund for this project, anticipating construction. Over the course, because construction happened in 2016, the money from previous years has just rolled into fund balance. Now, in order to utilize those dollars that had rolled into the fund balance, we need to do this supplemental budget to use those funds to pay for the remaining piece of the highway shop that wasn't in the 2016 budget. So that's what this does. $10,000.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Wyseth?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. We'll go back to department head reports. Bev, would you like to come up, please? Good morning.
I was just going to update you a bit on Doc Pro. The conversion, the bulk conversion was completed about 3 weeks ago. And since then, we've been going through the documents that were converted into Doc Pro, making sure that it was converted properly, that we've got the images, that we've got the right data matching and that. There were obviously some mistakes on our part for human error of entering that was found, and on the just the conversion part that some of the data was misread by. So we've been working together with the conversion team at Tyler, and about a week ago we started correcting our data entry errors. We completed that yesterday, and this afternoon we are going to have a conference call with a little bit of training so that we can start, as time allows us, with it being the end of the year and then the first of the year is kind of a, but as time allows, that we will use some of our daily documents and use a variety of the different documents to make sure that everything has been configured correctly, like for fees and that type of thing for the different types of documents. And when we are comfortable that it has been, then it goes into the last phase, which is on-site training and the final conversion of the data that we have entered since the bulk conversion was. So next month will be a busy, big month.
I'll bet you're anxious for it to be done.
We are, yes. Yeah, it seems like it's carried on quite a while. So, all good news.
All right. Well, great. Thank you for the update. Misty.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Few things in the weed department. I purchased a larviciding machine and a ground fogging machine in their backpack sprayers. So they're easy to, excuse me, attach, carry them on your back, or attach them to a four-wheeler when you're larviciding. The ground fogging machine is for basically when we fog acreages, we don't have to drive our vehicle on their lawns and dig up ruts in their lawns. So we can fog their grass and their shrubs a little bit easier. I purchased them with the mosquito grant we received, and the total amount would be $2,990.40 for the ground fogger machine, the larviciding machine, and the chemicals to go with it to get started early this summer.
Can you say that amount again?
$2,990.40.
Thank you.
Any questions on that?
No.
Thank you for pursuing that.
Yes.
You're welcome. I'm trying to get ahead of the game.
And we, I know you didn't spray very many for mosquitoes this summer, but
We had 8 total, and a couple were duplicate.
so I'm hoping that in light of the fact that we have this equipment, that people will call us.
I'm ready for them. Our annual meeting, we're going to have with the townships, instead of having farmers come in 2 times in 1 week, we're working together with Norris Patrick and Terry Pritchard. And it seems to be going well. I'm trying to get a meeting date set so we can all be together and kind of coincide and make sure we've got all our ducks in a row. That's all I have for that as of now. I did attend a Vandy's Supply meeting in Sioux Falls on December 6th. There's 2 new chemicals coming out. Freelex is one chemical, and Grassland L. They are both labeled for right-of-ways, but I have no information on them right now. I need to wait till about the middle of January, I've been told. So maybe that'll work better than just 2,4-D alone. So, and with our water aquifer also. But otherwise, I have nothing else. Is there any questions for me?
Questions? All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for the update.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Chris, you want to come up and Brookings County 2017 intentions?
Morning.
Morning.
Happy
Morning.
birthday, Larry.
Thank you.
Haven't heard anybody say that, so I texted him while I was back there. Messaged him.
I heard it on the radio, but I didn't know if that's for sure or not.
Hopefully it is.
I did.
Because you said something about 75 years old, and I was like, wow, that's a little bit old. He looks pretty good for 75.
Well, before I jump into the intentions, just from my department, we've been working on our exempt properties. We mailed out letters. We did an additional, since it's the 5-year, it's the long form application. We published in the papers for a couple of days to notify them. The deadline was November 1st. We had quite a few that did not return or respond. We've done second mailings and another letter confirmation. And I've still got a handful that have not. We're working through. We got some back. So even though there is a deadline, we're going to try and follow through and get everybody and all the applications on board, because there's a deadline to be in, but it doesn't mean that you deny them. So it just saves us from changing them to taxable, sending an assessment notice, then they realize, oh, we didn't do this, and then we have to go through the board proceedings to reverse that. We'll be contacting qualified pre-sort here very shortly, probably today. I'm surprised they haven't been in touch with me about our assessment notice mailings yet, so I'll be getting a hold of them to figure out what we're going to do and how the media that they want that presented to them, and so we can do that again. It went very well last year. We're going to be wrapping up our final discretionary formula calculations to carry everything forward in their next steps. We'll be soon working on elderly freeze applications, and we'll also be working through our energy credit to move them and advance those in their step process. All end of the year fun stuff. Now to the assessment plan. Everybody got it. I guess mainly this is more information for you and for me to present to you our culmination of the year and what our market has done and what we've done to bring us into compliance and correct our data to the current market trends. The first thing being the letter, which is required. This is what I was a little bit stressed about with holidays and things with a January 1 deadline. Got it done and completed and in early. Some of the highlights of there is the ag land productivity method for 2017. Last year we hit the top of the rung of the ladder of where Brookings County needed to get to. It was a good spot to be. There's still counties that are still going up 25%, 20%, 15%, and a couple going down. We hit our mark of where they know we have to go. So we are solely on an 8-year Olympic average now as computed by SDSU. So with that, our 2017, our soils for crop will be decreasing 0.06%. For the non-crop soils, for all of your grassland soils, the 8-year Olympic average is showing a 1.4% increase. So cash rents, things like that, whatever they survey, it's an increase, but it's not as drastic. As you can see, we went up 25%, 15%, 12%, 8% last year. This year's a 1.4%. So I think the end result is we're going to be pretty neutral on our ag as a whole because of the breakdown, 50% being crop, 50% being grass, down 6, up 1.4. We've lost some acres due to platting and things like that. Our actual ag acre count has decreased, so I'm not sure where the end numbers are going to be on a yearly deal until we culminate everything, but we're going to be pretty close to stable value as ag land base. And those are certified. I received those top dollars from Department of Revenue, so it's a done deal. It's a dead horse. Yes, ma'am.
Before you flip your page, I just wanted to ask this question, and I know we don't keep track of this, but I wondered about your opinion, what the relationship is now when we're looking at the productivity value versus the fair market value. What percentage of fair market value our productivity is running at? Do you have an opinion on that?
I usually have it compiled. I haven't compiled it for a while. I would say we're probably at about 45% of market,
About 45%.
45 to 50% of market. I think our average, and throwing everything together, crop and grass, our average, we're probably about $4,800 per acre sale price this year.
Okay.
We have seen a decrease in that over the last couple of years. You know, we were up to like 6,800 a couple years ago, and then it dropped down to 55, and it's slowly decreasing. The trend is coming down. But with that, we've also stalled out on our increases of productivity. So every year, it depends on the sales that happen. It's in the blend and mix. One year we might have many properties that are primarily crop soil sell. Well, that changes your whole average and median when they're $10,000 per acre sales. And then the next year, maybe you got WRP easement sell, and they're down, and they're selling for $1,300 an acre. So it depends on the weighting of what sells in the year. It isn't a very good analysis to just say, here's our average.
Right. Thank you.
Probably the next major thing to highlight is in the non-ag section of here. We began our sales study with sales that started November 1st, 2015 through October 31st of 2016. After our audit was completed, we had 496 arm's length sales in the county. That's what we have to use to base our changes on. And looking at what we ended for 2016 year, we ended at 90. See, I'm trying to remember what it was now. 90.37%, something like that. So doing no changes and just throwing our sales in, we were at 87.37. So the market increased from our ending numbers last year approximately 3 to 3.5% across the board. So that's our measure. The COD is the coefficient of dispersion. We had a 12.6% starting. And again, as I highlighted in there, the lower the coefficient of dispersion, the better we're doing our job, or the closer our range is. SDCL requires below 25. So we started out with 87% median, COD at 12.6. We've done our sales studies. We've analyzed the areas that needed adjustments. We've identified those. We've made those adjustments, executed them, ran them back into the study to see how they improved us. That has improved us to a 90.4% median ratio, and our COD decreased to 12.2. So state law says that we have to be between 85 and 100. We usually try and I'd like to be a little bit higher than this, than the 90.4. I'd like to be in the 91, 92 range. But with our last year being right there, our taxable factor is very minutely changed, so that's a good thing. With that then, being at a 90.4% ratio, our taxable factor will be 0.94 as opposed to last year being 0.937. So 3 1,000ths difference. So that is a good number to be at. Even though I'd like to improve my ratio a little bit, the taxable factor is also a number we have to consider, because that means if you had a $100,000 property last year and a $100,000 this year, you're basically going to be the same taxes depending on the levies. If that number changes, you could be at the same value, and now all of a sudden your taxable value increases or decreases more drastically. And again, then the levies have to adapt to that. So I anticipate that Department of Revenue will contact me back, identifying that we're at a 0.94 since our audit is completed. Again, with the ag then, we are on full productivity. We are considered to be at 100% productivity or market value for ag land, so the taxable factor for that will be 85 again. So that won't change. That's what I was required to submit. The next thing is the 2017 market changes. This is just a summation for you and also for me to kind of keep some track of what we did and why we did it and where we were at. I'm not going to go through all of this. You've all seen it. If you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer them now. Otherwise, we can talk about them at another time as well. And lastly is just our 496 sales. The spreadsheet that is audited, these are all arm's length transactions. It shows what our value was, what they sold for, what our initial ratio was. Then we go through our 17 changes, make our adjustments, figure out our problem areas, up or down, put them back in, and it shows our revised ratios and our ending. So it's a lot of data, but it's just numbers.
Are you sure River Ridge Edition shouldn't be subtracting?
Well-
Looking at it must be a typo or increasing, decreasing.
Yeah. It's funny. I had Reed, my appraiser, saying, "You heard me telling Jacob what we had to do in Elkton." He's like, "I like that. I like it." So yeah, I don't know if you wouldn't sell them so high down there.
Yeah, that's Rob.
But
All right.
some of them I was on the fence about. A couple of them I indicated we had some very minimal sales. We didn't have a volume of sales, but when you're neighborhooding and you don't have 500 parcels, you got a neighborhood of 30. When I look at the representative percentage, and I got 4 sales out of 30, and it's a 10 or 15%. And then I look at the other statistics, and the COD and the price-related differentials and the standard deviations are very tight in tolerance. It tells me that our data is good. Even though we have limited sales, our data is good, and it's a good direction, and it's a good indicator. So I've tried to highlight some of those. Analyzing some of them, it's funny when you go through and you look at the big neighborhood and it looks good. And then you start breaking it down and you start looking at older houses versus newer, and you find out that your older are selling for way less than what you had on them, and your newer are selling for way more, and you have a vertical equity dispersion that needs to be corrected. So in some of the neighborhoods, some of the house types are going up and some are going down, some are going up, and the other ones are going up just a little bit. It's funny when you break down the statistics.
Mr. Chair, on the what is the year of the older houses versus the newer houses?
Right now our cutoff is 1970 and older.
Okay.
And we did that. We used to have several, and I can break that down even further in there. We've got newer and newer remodeled in 1990 plus, and there's a lot of ways of doing it, but we looked at more of the building styles of homes and the construction, the building codes. It's kind of like trailer houses. 1976 and older are 2x2 walls.
Yeah.
And then you get into 1977 when they came in with building codes, and now they're 2x4 or 2x6, more standard construction. They make universal building codes. The distance between stoves and fridges is there. So when we look at that, that's one of our criteria that we set that year group. So, and I would love to have it broke down into 10-year increments, but again, we run out of data. We run out of it, so we have to kind of group some things together.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Vicki, Finance Officer's report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Letting you know we had our tax certificate auction yesterday. It was held up on second floor in a conference room because the conference room by us is taken up by auditors. And we had 165 properties for sale, the tax certificate sale, and $240,000 in taxes to be offered. And we had just 2 investors come this year, so that was down. But they purchased a total of $188,000 worth of taxes. So we only have about $52,000 left that the county owns. And most of those are ones that are low dollar amounts because they really can't probably come out on purchasing them. So, but it was a success and everything went well, even if we just had the 2. And if you go by our conference room today, when I left, nobody was there, but we have the auditors here, and they're supposed to have 5 of them here today, and they are trying to get done with our audit by the end of the year. So they're pulling in all of the ones that are done with their audits at the universities and that, and just trying to get them done. So they told us that there would be 5 of them there today, so hopefully we will get done by the end of the year, but that is what the commotion is going on in the conference room if they all show up. And you should have received in your packet the finance officer's report, and we just have the regular be it noted items for the auditor's account with the treasurer, the payroll and additives totals, the highway expenditure report, and the Register of Deeds statement of fees collected. And I also included on there the investment information for where we're standing as of December 1st with all of our monies in money market CDs and checking accounts and the interest rates. So that is there if you have any questions. And I also compiled the credit card usage report, and that is, we've about doubled in what we've had in January, or excuse me, in 2015, I've got the whole year, but 16, I've just got through November, so we have a month left, and I can redo it, but we have about doubled with what we are using for credit card usage. And I also included, since we put it online, the taxes, what the credit card usage was in April and what it was in October. And it did increase slightly, the dollar amount did for sure. And we will keep advertising that, and so that will probably get more usage as we continue to use that. So does anybody have any questions with the report? Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Department head reports are done. We'll move on to regular business. Letter A, action to approve a refund of a building permit in the amount of $13,398.
Move approval.
Is there a second? Second. Discussion. Mr. Hill.
Yes, this building permit was issued in, I want to say 2014. You should have a copy of it in front of you. There it is. And the conditional use permit in which it was issued was determined to be void or remanded back to the court. So I brought this request. We want to close out this building permit, refund the money, and then the applicant would be free to reapply at a later time of his choosing, of course. But we need to get this off our books and refund it back. The request is for the building permit and the 3 inspections, since none of the inspections were done at this time.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, please call the roll.
Miller?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Wyseth?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Letter B, an action to approve an appointment to the Swiftel Center Advisory Board. The motion, please. Second?
Second.
Second. Okay, discussion.
We had advertised for this, the deadline had come and gone, and we hadn't gotten anyone, and then we discussed this with the Leadership Brookings class last week when they were here, and we received a request to get the application from one of the participants in that program, and and she filled it out and sent it back, so it was successful.
Outstanding, and it's one of the females in Leadership Brookings. Go girls.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Wyseth?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Action to approve a request to fill vacancy for an administrative assistant in the Register of Deeds office. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
This is anticipating a retirement at the beginning of 2017 in the Register of Deeds office. So just trying to get that process started now so there's no, so we can get someone back into the office right away.
Any other questions? Discussion. All right. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Pierce?
Aye.
Wyseth?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Letter D, an action to approve Resolution 16-38, a plat of lots 1, 2, and 3 of Gephardt Edition in the northwest quarter of Section 2, Township 109 North, Range 49 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion.
Yes, this plat was heard at our December regularly scheduled zoning meeting and passed unanimously and sent to this board with a recommendation of approval.
Okay. Discussion. Any comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Wyseth?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Letter E, action to approve Resolution 16-39, a plat of lots 5B and 5C in Block 1, and Lake Park Second Edition in the east half of the northeast quarter, Government Lot 7, all in Section 28, Township 109 North, Range 50 West, Brookings County, South Dakota.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion.
This one was also heard in the December meeting and sent to this board with a recommendation of approval.
Okay, any discussion? All right, hearing none, please call the roll.
Miller,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Krogman,
Abstain.
motion carries.
Letter F, action to approve Resolution 16-40, a bridge improvement grant program resolution authorizing submission of applications. Is
Move approval?
there a second?
Second.
Second. All right, discussion. Any comments, Richard?
Yeah, this is just with their new 2017 requirements. They want to make sure that, I suppose, that I got permission to apply for the grant, so.
I just had a question about the form, and we didn't do the form. Now, this was the preliminary grant. The preliminary grant, is that one of those things that's governed by how much we put in as the county? Because they got the 20% typed in. Is that?
I don't think so, because it wouldn't amount to enough money.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Letter G, an action to approve Resolution 16-41, a bridge improvement grant program resolution authorizing submission of applications. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion.
And again, I just have the same question. On the preservation grants, it's always 20%.
Yes, and this is also the one you'll see are combined, because you have to have a minimum of $100,000 on a preservation.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Pierce,
Aye.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Letter H, action to approve Resolution 16-42, a bridge improvement grant program resolution authorizing submission for applications.
So moved.
Is there a second? Discussion.
And again, I just have the same question. Now, the construction grant is the one where we get points if we're paying more than 20%, right? But in their form, they put 20%. Okay. It just didn't
I
make
think they
sense.
use it as a tiebreaker personally.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Letter I, action to approve Agreement 16-106, a State of South Dakota consultant contract for provision of community health services between Brookings County and the South Dakota Department of Health, Family and Community Health, Child and Family Services. Look for a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Stacy, this is the agreement where we were talking about making a change regarding the,
No, this is not that one. There is another one that comes in like May or June that discusses, this is community health. The one in May or June is for WIC, and that discusses staffing. This is our payment that we make quarterly to the state. The one in the spring is their payment to us plus what we agree for staffing.
I know that this is the agreement we used last year because I went and looked, and my guess is we've used this for a gazillion years. But this year I read it pretty carefully, and I think there are some things that we should ask to have changed in this agreement. One of the things is the county is referred to as a consultant in part of it, but it's not defined. We're not a consultant. We're not consulting with the state. And that should be fixed so that that language isn't in there. And then when you look at 1B and 2C, those two things are contrary to each other. One says the state provides them, and one says the county provides them. And I understand that we haven't had any disputes and we get along fine, but our contract I would like to see be correct. And then when we look at page 2, subsection D1, Stacy, are we carrying $1 million general liability insurance policy for this? How do we comply with that portion of this agreement?
That's just our liability insurance coverage, which we have.
So that is just our general liability insurance policy. And it's not something that's different, and we meet all the aggregates that are set forth in here. I don't know, because we had never talked about that.
Yes, and I think they ask us to provide them with a copy of that, and we do that.
Okay.
Yep.
And then in subsection 2, it says that the consultant, when it should say the county, but shall maintain workers' compensation and employers' liability insurance as required by South Dakota law. There is no employer liability insurance required other than workers' comp. I don't know what that means and why that's in there. But the other thing that I thought we should have changed in here is when you look at page 5 and you get to item number 6, because this does talk about us providing the clerical services, and I understand Stacy saying that we'll address that in more detail in the next contract, but this says we'll provide fiscal and administrative management to ensure efficient utilization of the resources of both parties. That is where we should ask them to put in the language, including, and this is the state's requirements, including supervision and evaluation of, or including participation in supervision and evaluation of the county staff that this agreement says will provide.
We, these changes obviously would have to go back to them for have they approved this already? Is this something they've sent to us, or do we initiate this?
They send it to
To
us,
us.
but it's not signed yet by them. They don't sign it until we send our approved. Once we approve it, we send it back to them. They sign it, and we get a copy back.
So do you kind of have a summary of the changes?
I have them all written down for Stacy.
Perfect.
Well, Leanne, I just got to ask, you're a negligent. Thank you for going into this. I just accepted it as things went. What's that movie line? You had me on hello. Well, you had me lost on the word consultant. Where does it say how we became a consultant?
I don't know, and it starts at the top. It defines us as the county and them as the state, which is the way it should be. And then when we get to page 2, D number 1, all of a sudden we become a consultant, which has different connotation under the law and different things as relates to what our liability might be. So,
Yeah, see, in C says county agrees to, in that form, and it goes to D. And now all of a sudden, boom, consultant comes out and talks about sure. Well, in some ways, in my idiot layman term, that's them. Because before they're talking about us. Now out of the blue comes consultant. Trust me, I'm no consultant on health. I can testify right now. But yeah, I think this needs
little cleanup.
yes. Thank you.
Well, if you could get that information to Stacy on that and make some changes, and I think when we send it to them, we can make a kind of an itemized of the changes that we've made, and make sure they're okay with them. So, all right. Then we will not. Do we want to make we had it with changes? Do you want to make your motion with changes? Who made the motion for?
I think maybe we better just table it because, until we know if they're in agreement.
Well, I think if we make the changes and send it to them, then they can come back, and if they're not, they can come back to us and put it on it again if they make changes. My thought is that we make these changes, we send it to them, we're approving these changes. If everybody's okay with them, if we're not comfortable with the changes and we want to look at them ourselves after a copy, we can table it and have Stacy send us the agreement, and we can look at it individually ourselves, and we can put it on next agenda, which is the 27th, a week from today. Or if we're okay with them, we can get them going now. So I guess I would entertain any thoughts of what everybody likes to do, what I want to do.
I think if everybody's comfortable, if we amended the motion to say with the changes and authorize Ryan to sign it and send it out, unless you guys want to read it again.
We'll hear back in a week with Christmas and everything.
We may not. We may not.
So,
So I don't remember who made the motion. Did we write it?
Miller made the motion, Jensen seconded.
Are you willing to amend your motion with the changes? Second is okay with that, Larry?
Yep.
Yep, okay. All right, we have a motion to approve with changes. Any discussion, further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Miller,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
All right, automatic supplements. Do we need to go to these individually?
Do you want to do that motion as approving the amendment and then main motion as amended?
oh,
Well, I was thinking they changed their motion. Okay, so we didn't make an amendment to the motion, they changed their motion. So, all right, automatic supplements, individually do these, correct? Okay. All right, number 1, under J, action to automatically supplement the Elections Departmental Budget Line 101-4-120-4260 in the amount of $920.16 for reimbursement from the HAVA grant. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
second.
Second. Okay, discussion.
This is money coming in.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Yes, these are all anticipated funds, unanticipated revenue that we received this year. What we're doing now is taking that revenue and putting it back into the expense lines where money came out and we've already expensed items out. So
So we're just getting reimbursed
reimburse for,
money that we have previously spent.
yes.
And we were, yeah.
Both of these HAVAs are that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Number 2, action to automatically supplement the Elections Departmental Budget Line 101-4-120-4260 in the amount of $390 for reimbursement from the HAVA grant.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Pierce,
Aye.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Number 3, action to automatically supplement the Sheriff's Departmental Budget Line 101-4-211-4110 in the amount of $20,000 for reimbursement from the 25% Alcohol Beverage Fund.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion.
Once again, this is money coming in. This is revenue.
Mhm.
We love doing this.
Merry
All
Christmas.
right, any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Number 4, action to automatically supplement the Detention Center Departmental Budget Line 101-4-212-4110 in the amount of $19,424.72 for the reimbursement from the 25% Alcohol Beverage Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Miller,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Number 5, action to automatically supplement the Juvenile Detention Departmental Budget Line 101-4-214-4291 in the amount of $4,750 for the reimbursement from the Juvenile Justice Reinvestment Initiative.
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion.
If I may, I would just let the commission know that Boys and Girls Club has called numerous times about these funds as they were aware of it and their statistics helped. And I have let them know that there's no guarantee that money is going back to the Boys and Girls Club. I just wanted you to be made aware of it.
Would you explain that? Are they thinking the $4,700 goes to Boys and Girls Club?
Well, they were hoping that that money would be put towards any money the commission would give towards the Boys and Girls Club because it was from the teen court diversion program.
And I thought that we were waiting for those monies as partial reimbursement for the $25,000 we spend for that program.
And that's what they
Yeah.
thought too. And this is going to a different line, I believe. But I just wanted to let you know that they've been contacting us in regards to the money to see if that would be something that would go towards the program.
Which, to increase the amount that we give them, is that what they're thinking?
I think that's always what they're thinking is increased money, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
This is going to offset our expense
The 25,000,
Yeah.
right?
for, what is it? Do you know, Vicki, offhand?
Just all the juvenile expenses we've had for the year. It's been so high, we are just putting that in. We already give the teen court 25,000.
Yeah. And we raised that
And
this year, so.
yeah, and they've already received that for the year.
So this
That was
isn't
their-
specifically offsetting the 25,000, but it's offsetting juvenile detention costs that we have already spent throughout the year.
And I don't have a need to offset that 25,000. I don't begrudge that we give that to them. And I think they serve a good purpose in our community with their teen court. So I'm not looking to offset that, but we do have outrageous juvenile costs this year. So.
Yes.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Letter 6, action to automatically supplement the mosquito departmental budget line 101-4-429-4261 in the amount of $4,315 for reimbursement from the mosquito grant.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion.
With the mosquito program now, we have created a separate department, you'll see, specifically for mosquitoes. We're just calling it the mosquito department as per, I think, Rod, our state auditor, asked that we do this to better track our grant dollars in and the expenses out from that. So this is the grant dollars coming in. And as Misty had mentioned, the money that she spent, that about $2,900 is coming out of these grant dollars.
All right. Any further discussion? No. Okay. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Pierce,
Aye.
Wyseth,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Mr. Chair, before we
Yes.
move on to the next item, could we go back to the teen court money, or the juvenile justice monies for a minute?
Sure.
I just want to be sure that I understand this right, because Ms. Howard told us when the juvenile JDIC, whatever the initials stand for, passed, that if we did the teen court funding at the level that we did, that we would get back some of that money through this governor grant program. We talked about that at the commission meeting. Those funds then are not, this is what my question is, those funds aren't restricted to any particular purpose. We can apply them to our overall juvenile. We don't have to put them into to something that was in the JDIC. That's my question.
I don't know that.
Okay. I wonder if we need to know that before we move those monies.
Vicki, do you-
Only because we had that conversation that was part of that whole process and that change in the law.
Right. Vicki, have any?
I'm not positive either, but we have World of Resources downstairs. We can bring this back on the 27th and find out for sure. We could just pull that part of it.
And Leanne, that was my slight concern as well, because we reported for the reimbursement for the teen court program. Many counties don't have the 25,000 they just give. So that was just my concern as well, is whether it's designated to offset the money. And I know we don't begrudge them, but that was my question. And I know we have high juvenile detention costs, but reading the letter, there really wasn't anything in the letter designating that it had to go to a certain thing, but I think that's how the bill was written. So that would maybe be something to look at.
Thank you.
Yeah, we will definitely check it out and bring it back on the 27th and let you know what we find out.
All right. Thank you. All right, letter K, action to approve resolution 16-43, a resolution approving contingency transfers for FY 2016. Do I need to read all these? I hope that's a no.
No, we don't. You don't typically read every resolution verbatim, so we can go through. We discussed this 2 weeks ago at our last meeting. This very lengthy resolution with all of our contingency costs, contingency transfers so far for 2016, totaling $519,343, leaves us with about $130,000 left in contingency. Now that being said, Vicki and I are going to be sitting down again tomorrow and looking at additional costs that have come in. We know that with the juvenile detention fund for that budget already for payables, so 2016 bills that we're going to pay yet in January, another $25,000 came in bills. So Vicki and I are going to sit down and look at all of these budgets one more time, and we may be bringing another contingency. I'm pretty positive you'll see another contingency resolution before you next Tuesday as well.
Holy buckets, that's terrible that we're losing our contingency like that.
I do need a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Further discussion on this? All right. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Wyseth?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. Letter L, year-end designation. Discussion, possible action to assign funds in the general fund, unreserved, undesignated fund balance. All right. Well, we have
I provided
letter
you
from
with
Stacy.
I provided you with a staff report on this that's on the screen now. It was in your packet. Just kind of estimating expenses through the rest of 2016. 300,000 yet in claims and approximately 310,000 in wages yet to pay for 2016. Taking those expenses again estimates into account, we get down to about 39% at year end for surplus, general fund surplus. We have to be at or below that 40% is by statute at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So this is a little too close for comfort for me, just in case my estimates are off. We have to make sure that we're below that 40%. And you can see historically we've been right around 25, 26% over the last several years. I put from 2011. That's the information that I had. So about 25%. So I just kind of ran some comparisons to see some estimates on if you were to designate additional funds out of that fund balance or out of the unassigned fund balance. Assigning $1 million would get us down to about 31%, 1.5 million about 27%, and $2 million about 23%. My recommendation would be to try to stay around that 25-26% range, which would mean about $1.5 million, 1.75 million available to assign. Now, if you want, we can wait and look at this again next week, and we could maybe have some better numbers for you. But I said 2 weeks ago that I'd be bringing this forward to you now. So.
I just
Discussion now, and you can look at it again in a week, or you can decide to do what you
I
want
would
to
just
do.
like to add my 2 cents here and have all of you commissioners keep this in mind. Last year we struggled because we got really, really low. And so I'm concerned about going clear down to 25.
That was 2 years ago.
It was yeah.
I was thinking we got really low.
We got very low.
Yes.
Not at the end of the year, but no, it was just last year.
It was this last
Last year.
And so 25 concerns me just a touch. But I guess I would prefer to wait until our next meeting when we have some final numbers and we have a better idea. But I worry about going clear down to 25.
You're talking because of cash flow is where we end up. Cash flow down before we get our first payment of first half taxes.
Yep.
We get really
Yep.
low down
Yeah.
to 2 or 3% or something like that.
Yeah, and that's way too low. I mean, we had to move money to get us back up, and I'd rather not have to do that again.
You know, after this week, you know, we pay bills today, so we'll have a better idea. And I know Jen down in the finance office has already been getting some bills, and we're not paying bills next Tuesday at all. Then we have, I think, the 2 commission meetings in January left to pay 2016 bills. So, you know, it's going to be a guess, a best guess. Now, payroll we can get a little bit closer on. You know, we did a payroll just Friday, so we have 1 full payroll yet coming out and about half of another payroll coming out. That half will not include our exempt or our salaried employees, though. And I won't get into the whys, but we have to have 26 pay periods for salaried people. So that one will go all into 2017. So we have 26 pay periods for our salaried individuals. But with payables, we'll push a half, a full week back into 2016 for wages. So we've got a payroll and a half yet to pay out approximately.
The thing from my perspective is I think we should discuss where we're going to want to put money. Maybe the amount's going to differ, but maybe we could come to a consensus on where we want to do transfers to. And I think that the transfers we're talking about are all assignments that if we end up with a problem in February, we can unassign. Am I correct? Is there anything
If
we're
you
going to do
leave
that
your
we can't
assignments
change?
within the general fund,
Yeah.
yes, you can unassign with simple motion action from the board. If you assign funds like you did at the end of 2015, you assigned $2 million in the county building fund for the jail project, for the jail expansion. Now those monies are in the building fund. They have to be used for a county building capital project.
And I think we had some discussion about some of these funds, these assignments that are now kind of outdated and we don't need them. There's been excess money that were used for different that we can now maybe assign that within the fund and identify it to something more current, I
Yes.
guess.
And I guess maybe that's the discussion to have, and then I can, at the meeting next Tuesday, I can better spell out exactly what action items you'll need to take. I mean, if you, for instance, if you want to unassign that $150,000 in the building fund that's for juvenile detention and make it part of the $2 million you already have assigned for the jail expansion project, so there's $2,150,000 in that for jail expansion, that's one thing to do. There's also like 400-some thousand left over from the courthouse remodel project that you can unassign within the building fund and assign it to another purpose. Either unassign it completely, it'll roll into the fund balance in the building fund, or you can assign it for something else as well. Now, there's no percentage where we have to be at in the building fund, but those are just things to clean up. Those are more cleanup type measures to take. Now, within the general fund, there's like 617,000 for highway projects, and then there's another like 4.5, I think.
4.75.
4.75 for highway too.
Economic
Yeah,
development.
and they're both for highway projects, but they're different slightly, and I'm not sure, maybe combining those into, just one assignment.
Right.
So if you give me some direction on that today, I can have very specific items on the agenda for next week.
Why don't we do this? Let's go through. We have our funds here. We have 101, which is general. We have 201, road and bridge, and then we have some that we really can't really touch. They're not. Let's go through those and see if we can kind of discuss where we should, if we should put those in with other groups, if we want to leave the heading under each fund. We just want to make sure we're utilizing those dollars and not just sitting there, especially if we have a need.
Can we do the easy one first, which is that? Is it 150,000? I think we reached a consensus at our last meeting that we'd like to see that moved over to detention center, didn't we?
But I think there's also money there too. I mean, there's another 418 that's with courthouse that we're not.
But we have to do each one individually anyway.
Right.
So.
Let's just go down 101. The general fund we'll hold off on, okay, because that'll be it towards the end. But the road and bridge fund there, those three numbers, I guess I'm on a different page thing. I'm on page 123 in our packet, which is the fund balance report. It's in the finance group. There you go. So what I was looking at is let's go through the road and bridge fund here, and we need, identify ones that we need to keep. There's road purposes, obviously the snow removal, we've discussed that one, but non-spendable fund balance inventory.
That one you can't touch.
Can't touch, okay.
No.
Road purposes,
That is your fund balance. Those are the dollars that at the end of the year, unspent, roll into that restricted fund balance road purposes line. Now, the 3 million is the money that is transferred from the general fund each year. Those general fund transfers you do quarterly.
right.
So the 3 million is actually the general fund dollars that you've moved to the road and bridge fund. The 186 is your fund balance.
Right. So all the projects we have, and we talked about this last time, scheduled for 2017 is we have income coming in and we're using that income to
Yes.
do the projects.
Yes.
So none of this money is being used to spend in 2017 projects, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We're not using any fund balance in the budget for highway. No.
No.
Okay, so then how do you spend the road purposes money? Because it's restricted. It's left over, but how do we spend that restricted fund balance for road purposes?
That would be similar to what we did with a supplemental budget hearing today. You would need to hold a hearing to supplement the budget for, that's kind of your bank account. That's in essence your surplus.
From this year?
From past
No.
years.
Past years.
And it's money that the county received from wheel tax, from, motor V things. That's the revenue, and that rolls into that line. Okay, so our tax, our wheel tax, our motor V, anything people pay to the county that is designated for a road purpose, at the end of the year, anything that's unspent with those rolls into that restricted fund balance road purposes.
Okay.
So there's not much there.
Right. But if we wanted to, say, after the first of the year, repair 2 culverts and they're $75,000 to $100,000 a piece, and it was over and above what we had budgeted for, can we use those funds for
You
that?
have to use those funds. Yes, you can use those funds for that, and you have to use your restricted funds first.
Okay.
And when it said road purposes, that includes bridges?
Yes.
Okay. And then the snow removal, again, I think you guys have done some research on that. We're going to start using that this year.
Yes, and that again too would be a supplemental budget hearing. But if Dick can come up and really for snow removal, it was a pretty broad description of what that can be used for. And I think Dick has probably, now that he sees that, and I think he's coming up with lots of ways to spend $330,000. So I don't think we'll have an issue with that. So we'll probably be bringing that. Those are going to be things that I think Dick will come up with specific expenditures where we'll do a supplemental budget and use that snow fund. But once that's gone because
Right.
we don't levy for snow removal anymore.
Right.
That's one-time money.
That's one time money. So,
Once,
okay.
yeah, it's
And then the assigned fund balance of road purposes is $3 million is basically, we don't need to assign it for anything, but if we wanted to build a road, if we wanted to do a large structure, a bridge all on our own or something, that's money that we could use.
yes, you'd have to spend the restricted fund balance first,
Right.
and then you could tap into that assigned fund balance.
Okay. So basically, we need to keep these all the same. 201 needs to stay the same.
Yes, I would suggest just leaving 201 as it is,
Okay.
unless, yeah, yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? Everybody understanding?
I just have something to throw out, and I'm not sure, but I think it would be there. We've, been to the presentation on 20th Street, and I would like to see us consider, and we don't have to decide this now, I just want everybody maybe to think about it, starting a fund that's an assigned fund, not restricted so we can take the money back out if we need it down the road, but maybe just starting a line item. So we've got a line item on there that says 20th Street, and just start tucking away a little bit of money for that in the event that it happens. If it doesn't happen, we can take that money out and use it for something else.
Are you
But-
talking in the road and bridge fund or in the general fund?
Well, we've got that $3 million
You're
that's
saying take
in.
like $1 million of that and put it a separate sign line.
I wasn't thinking that much. But I was thinking maybe 100,000 and putting it right there in the 201 bridge fund at taking of that 3 million, maybe putting 100,000, I'm just throwing that number out, and having a line item that says 20th Street. And then that would be just planning for down the road. If it never gets used, because 20th Street doesn't go through, then we could move it back.
I'm not sure 100,000 is going to get the signage. No, just
No,
kidding.
no,
No, but it's a start. I'm
but
sure
it's a
there'll be-
start.
Yeah.
I like Larry's.
What's everybody's thoughts on that? But we'd keep it in the road and bridge fund. We'd take it out of the 3 million that's there and just basically add another line, assigned fund balance with a dash, 20th Street, I don't know, say overpass or connection or whatever you want to call it.
Overpass,
Construction,
hyphen,
20th Street.
interchange.
Yeah, construction.
Participation.
Yeah. And then, so is that something everybody would like to do?
You're being awful restricted saying 20th Street. I mean,
We've,
it could
Well,
be any overpass. What if the city
Then we
changes
could say, I don't have a problem with calling it interstate overpass slash
something?
interchange. And just because someday hopefully we will be doing one of those two things. And I don't care if the commission doesn't want to designate it particularly for 20th Street, if that's what you're thinking. That's fine.
We can do it to
thinking you're-
214th Street improvement.
Everybody's thoughts?
well, then does that mean 213 is on hold?
And when do we talk about that? Do we talk about that now, or do we talk about that when we do our budget stuff? When do we talk about 213?
That's not budgeted for 217. So
Exactly.
if we were going to do something further, we would have to, I'm guessing, pull
Next
from fund
week.
balance out of economic development stuff that we've assigned.
Because I can't vote to put that money for 214 if we're going to do 213. If we're not going to do 213, then maybe.
So maybe we need to have our conversation about 213. And
No, eventually, yeah.
Well, I have any regrets. I guess sometimes I look at 34th Avenue as done without an HDR type study. And I would just say that before 213, 214, anything should maybe be looked at by a professional group to see how actually traffic will be going through those areas. After, 20th Street overpass interchange gets built, a lot of pressure to do 214 and not 213. and that's going to take the load of traffic. Gut feeling. I guess before I spend another, if I were here, spending a couple, 3 million or more, I would want to have a study done to see actually how it's going to be used, other than see the pants. And I guess
That cost, you know?
Quite a bit.
I don't know though.
There's been different, the state awarded the city one here, not this one, the one before, the state awarded them that. That was, the state paid for. This one here, I don't know what the actual cost was. But I think we were supposed to have the talk also amongst the commission, are we going to participate in the 20th Street project if it come?
Well,
I mean, that was kind of directive
I'll just
had not
say
made.
that I think going up to it is for sure, you know. And then after that, because the minute that thing gets built, it's going to put pressure on you to do something else. I mean, it's just like a 1-2 punch. Well, how can you afford to do step one and participate in an overpass, and then turn around right back and spend more money? Yeah, it's the whole picture, and the whole picture is pretty expensive. And I think we need to take care of us first. No offense to the city, but for sure getting up to it. That's in my mind. If I was here, that's the way I'd commit to that. But after that, how much money you got? Because we go some percentage on doing an overpass or kicking in for an interchange, and that's going to be a lot of money. That doesn't leave you much to get our citizens to this whole thing, other than 34th.
Yeah, and I think very good point, Commissioner Wyseth, because I think that hasn't been taken into consideration. They want the county to pitch in, per se, but no one is thinking about the fact that we have 2 miles to get to Aurora that they'll want to have hard surfaced. So that's a lot of extra money. So I think in 3 miles, in planning, we need to be very, very careful. And my conservative hind end tells me, hang on to this money. Our previous commissioners were excellent planners, and they left us in a very good position. And I want to leave the next commission in a very good position to be able to have the money to do this. So I just want us to be very frugal.
And I agree with that. And there was some sticker shock with 213th on our estimate that we got back on that. The problem with 213th is we did 34th, and we did that first part of 213th. It's like we have this road that goes nowhere. It's not really usable for anything other than Novita because we didn't finish it. If we were just talking about starting out, it would be one thing. But the fact that we've got this road that, and I'm sorry, I should be able to say this, do we have 1.5 miles left to do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that we have 1.5 miles that the county has taken over, and it's our road. And I don't really want to spend that much money. But on the other hand, we've already spent the money that we got from our state funds to do that one little piece, and we've got this down here. We have over 50 businesses on the east side of Brookings. All those people in Aurora that go back and forth to work, the bus going back and forth to Dakota Prairie. I'm thinking that we might need to bite the bullet on 213th and just do it. And then down the road, that does hook on to whatever interchange or overpass that would be put in, so the county would have time to decide whether they wanted to do something else. But I just feel like we're sitting there with this 1.5 miles of this road not very usable, where we spent money on both ends.
I know, but I just want a different frame of mind.
Yep.
Was that we didn't build that 1.5 miles to get to 34th. In fact, you guys took on 213th, and I say you guys because I was more in favor of the North 34th getting from Aurora, but that's another issue. But the reason we did it is we actually ran the numbers with the state money and property taxes. I don't know how many times we went over that, what they were going to generate, and we figured we'd break even up to, I don't know what number of years it was. Let's just say 5, 7 years, and after that, we got, we're off and running and making money on the thing. So it was more of an investment than it was a road project to get to 34th. So it was a different frame of mind going into it.
And it's kind of like a three-legged stool with only two legs right now.
Well, the thing I'm thinking is we're going to come up with a long list of projects we want to assign for. Maybe not a long, but I mean, 213 could be one, 214 could be one. Adding to the detention center is easily one. We have some large projects coming here. I guess what I'd like to do is maybe follow through with the rest of these fund balances of what we can touch and what we can kind of put together. Maybe we can talk, you can think about, formulate a plan of ideas, and then maybe on the 27th, we come together and try to come to a consensus of how we organize this fund balance. Does that sound okay? I want to, like I said, the road and bridge, being able to use those restricted funds and things like that, or assigning them. When you assign something, it tells whoever you're working with or there that you're identifying with it is what it does. Whether it's $100,000 or it's $1 million, it's $500,000, whatever it is, it says you're on the radar. Just like putting money away for the detention center or something, it says we're saving for this. And it lets other people know that we're in that process. It also lets future commissioners understand where this commission is coming from at this time, that we're putting away for that. We have identified that as a plan. So I worry sometimes, though, that it commits us to doing something if we have something in here. If we turn around and put money away and over, does that paint a picture that we're going to, like Larry said, we haven't even decided if we're going to participate. But if we put it in here, does it say that we are? And people say, well, you had it here. You're not going to participate? Why'd you even put it in then if you weren't going to participate? And so there's a couple different ways of looking at it there by identifying. So, we obviously have to participate in the detention center because it's our responsibility and everybody else. So putting money into that is not a tough there. So I think we just have to be a little bit careful on identifying, and tying up future commissions on that we are participating or not participating. I know we can move it. I know it can be changed, but it also does send a message. So let's go down these here. Let's make sure we can itemize this thing down, narrow it down to as much as we need to, and then we'll come together and try to, our last meeting, put it all together. The E911 fund, restricted fund, what's the negative balance in there is what again?
There's a negative means that we've spent more than we've gotten in. That's just money in from the surcharge, isn't it, Vicki, E911?
Yep. So really, we can't do anything with that. Anything we get in goes back out to the city.
Yeah, that's money in, money out.
No, I understand. I just understanding that why can't we take the assigned fund balance and even out the restricted fund balance?
This picture right now, it's a little deceiving because we still haven't gotten in money yet. So it may not be negative at the end of the year because we still have money yet to receive from the state.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
So,
in fact, I think the check just came yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. Emergency management, signed. We have subsequent years budget and emergency management, and again we have a negative number. Or is that one going to change again, or how's that going to work?
We could still, no, that one should stay the same.
Okay. So what can we?
We can't touch that either.
Okay. For emergencies, for emergency management, if we have something happen.
A lot of times what happens with the emergency management fund is if you go back to budget time and that when we use cash applied to balance funds, we're using fund balance at that point within the budget. When we say we're spending, $50,000 of cash applied, we're using that fund balance. So that's what we can, for these smaller special funds, that's what we keep that fund balance for, is basically to balance the budget each year. So yes, I think technically you could assign dollars within there for if you knew of special projects coming along for emergency management, but right now that budget is just, the fund balance is used to balance the budget. And we transfer money, again, that assigned is money, I believe that the assigned fund balance is money from the general fund, from transfers.
So, but then we just use contingency funds for emergency management. Is that something we could have used this money for, or is it? Didn't we just do a part of? There was some contingency that was in that list, wasn't there? Emergency management.
Yes.
Yeah, there
Okay.
was.
Can we use this fund here rather than taking contingency money?
We would have to do a hearing.
Yeah.
And advertise it if we are going to take that out. And, like with the truck that Bob bought, it was talked about that we would take it out of contingency, so I guess that's just what we did.
And I guess that's why I want to have this discussion, is
Right.
we have funds under these restricted places here that we maybe could be utilizing, which then would save that from a contingency, which is general
Right.
fund, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I don't like, I shouldn't say I don't like, but we got to have it. We have these restricted funds, but I don't want to sit here year after year and have 75,000 in a restricted
Right.
fund that we could be utilizing and then saving dollars off the general fund.
Correct.
Yes.
So just, I guess, having the conversation, having the discussion with you guys here, maybe we can, next time we come up with
Use
something,
it.
maybe
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
could say, let's use these funds.
Yep.
All right. Okay, domestic abuse fund.
That is
That's money in, money out again.
Yep, gotcha. And then contract law enforcement is zeroed out. Is that something?
We don't have that. We moved all of those funds into the sheriff's department a couple of years ago. So this,
So can we get rid of that, or do we always have to keep it around?
No, we can probably just get rid of it because it isn't coming back. We just need it for history, but it doesn't have to be on this report.
Gotcha. Okay, 248, which is the 24/7 program. It's restricted funds.
And that again, if we did we did a hearing, we could have taken the money instead of doing a transfer. We were in contact with Brenda on it, and there was some controversy. And anyway, we were more online. We could have done that if we could have done a hearing. So that will be something we will be doing in the future.
What are those funds restricted for?
For
24/7.
24/7.
So you only can use them for operation of the 24/7 program?
Yes.
We built that. If you want to know how that got built, I guarantee that money will disappear. We were probably able to build that up due to the fact prior to the last year or 2 years, we had a low amount of inmates. So I wasn't taking a lot of money back out of that for wages. We just absorbed it with the correctional officers I was working. Where now we have a full-time 24/7 person. Those wages will be coming out. And then I don't know if the 221,000 indicates that we'll be taking 2017 budget. I don't know if that's going to come out of that 221 or if that's
No.
It's not. See.
okay.
Can we do that? I mean, obviously, with a hearing, you say out of this stuff too. But that's what my concern is too. Is we're not utilizing this 221 because that has continued to go up from over previous years.
You can use that for wages.
Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely.
Yep. Now, the other thing is that we can use that for building. So when we build our expansion, we're going to have an area for 24/7. If we have $100,000 that we're not using for wages, we can use that to go towards, working on that 24/7 area. Or next year, I'm going to have to, when we go with more employees, that money can be used for that too. So I guarantee you that this is the last time you'll see that amount. And then over the years, I was able to secure a couple grants too that we were using for 24/7 also. But right now, I'm not eligible for any grants until this money's spent down, really.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess that was my question. Is it possible to use some of that for the building project?
Yes.
And you're saying it
Yes.
is?
Yep.
And
If I'm going to designate, because I'm going to have a separate area for 24/7 for the public to come in and out. It'll be off the booking area, and we can use that funds for building. Anything to do with 24/7, and that's not an issue.
Would we want Marty to maybe run some numbers, how much of that he needs for the 24/7 wages, and what amount, if any, would be available for the building fund, so we could kind of be thinking
Where
about
do
that?
we get the money that comes into this? What's that from? Is that from?
That's from
User fee.
User fee?
Day-to-day PBTs.
Okay.
And they come in twice a day, and then we get money back for the scram bracelets. Drug patches we break even on. Actually, I'm trying to get away from drug patches. We spend about $1,000 a month just analyzing drug patches. I think we're kind of breaking even on that, but I'd rather do the UAs. If you noticed on my report, I was only doing 2 or 3 UAs. Now we're doing 25 UAs that they're coming in. So we're leaning more towards the UAs and so forth. But any money that with 24/7 that we charge the participant goes into this fund.
I guess my thought too is, as you have different ways of dealing, with bracelets, with coming in and 24/7 program. If you can find ways to invest in some stuff that would help minimize the number of people in the days in jail, I think that's an investment, because it costs us to have them in jail. And if we can invest in something that would keep them out of jail and allow them to continue to work and do all those types of things, it seems like would this qualify for something like that, or?
Not if it has something to do with the alcohol. Yeah, we could. Yes.
Okay.
And that's something that we actually just visited with the circuit judge last week, and we're moving. My goal is to put everybody that's on work release on GPS, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to work with us on it. So we still have he still wants a little punishment that they have to come to jail, but he's willing to, maybe they have to come in for a few days, and then we put them on the bracelets and stuff. So
Marty, how much percentage of the 24/7 does participants pay? I mean,
they have to pay, or
are they
go to
paying
jail.
Are they paying 100% of the
Yes.
cost?
They have to pay, or that's part of the deal. If they don't pay, they're in jail.
Okay.
So that's keeping them out of jail. The cost, it's only $1. It's $2 a day to blow.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have 70 come in, it adds up over the course of time, of course. But, and they have to pay to put the scram bracelet on. They have to pay for it, for the monitoring of it and so forth.
But they're not paying you for the wages then?
Pardon?
They're not paying you for the wages then?
No, but
No.
they could. But when it goes into the fund, we can use the fund
Right.
to pay for wages. Yes. So technically, they kind of are paying for wages. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Register of Deeds Relief Fund we can't touch, and Bev kind of handles that when she can use funds for that. She tries to. Okay, County Building Fund. Let's go over these numbers, and these have some potential to move around a little bit. The restricted fund balance for county building, 731. What is that one?
That is your tax levy dollars that have rolled into fund balance over the years.
For this,
For this fund. You levy for the county building fund. You have a separate property tax levy for the county building fund.
Yep.
So that's dollars, those dollars that haven't been spent, that's rolled, the tax dollars have rolled into fund balance.
So we could use that for the detention center if we chose to do so?
Yes,
Any county building.
yes.
Okay. And then the operating transfer in is what's left. That's for almost 19. Is that what's left of the courthouse?
That's on the wrong line. Isn't that in courthouse building purposes?
Sorry, it should be one line down.
Yeah,
Okay.
that should be in the
That's-
courthouse building, and that can be reassigned, and probably should be at this point because we don't have any. This was assigned within the building fund for the courthouse remodel that happened back in 2012, 2013.
So roughly 1.15 of restricted fund and assigned fund balance there that is usable, I guess, to be reassigned. And then we also have the juvenile detention center, and that's been there for quite a while, correct?
Yes, that's been there probably for a couple decades, probably. So
Right.
we can reassign that as well.
And that's something legislative audit wants us to see reassigned someplace. They don't want it to be there forever.
You can either unassign it and it would go back into it would add to that 731,000, or you can reassign it to another project.
All right, so that's something we need to discuss probably next week on how we want to arrange this fund and where we want to do with those funds.
I have a question for Stephanie and Larry, and maybe Marty. Based on your most recent meetings, do you have a number yet for the detention center?
Well, they gave us an idea.
Just an
but
idea.
8.5
What would?
to 9.
Okay, so 9 is maybe what we're looking at.
Jails are expensive.
They are, and Larry and I had our slasher pens ready.
I think the next meeting, they'll bring some options, more definite.
Okay.
What our uses are,
Actually, they're going to be emailing us out the Thursday, a draft, a more design draft. So we can comment on that.
Okay. All right, and then
302 and 304 are other funds that, at this point are, we can get rid of. The 302 is for this building when it was built,
Okay.
and 304 was for the remodel project at the courthouse. So those projects are both done and complete. I think we had to wait so long before we could completely close those out, but I think we can probably do that now. Vicki, I'll have to check with Brenda or with the auditors and see, but.
okay. All right. Any questions on our funds that we have under our fund balance? Do we want to discuss the amount that we were willing to transfer, and that way everybody can kind of get an idea of where we want to put that? You don't have to do it right now, but I mean, is everybody okay with maybe we got to take some? Well, we don't have to take some out, but since we're under 40 at the end of this, but 1.5 million.
Well, I think we need to see where we are at that December 27 meeting.
Okay.
Because she knows that there's going to be more out of contingency, and that really, I hate that. And so I would feel more comfortable if we waited to see where we were to decide how much we're going to move.
Okay. Everybody else's thoughts? No.
And I'd also like us to keep in mind that I think we need a number higher than 25%.
Were you asking about the general fund, or were you still on the 301 fund? I got mixed up.
No, I was just looking at the general fund. We need
Okay.
to unassigned fund balance. We need
Okay.
to assign a certain amount to make sure we're in compliance. And
Under the 40%.
right, and that's where Stacy had said that we're one and a half, two would get us in certain levels. And that was what the conversation was. Where does people feel comfortable? So if we're okay with that, then we'll wait till the 27th to discuss the amount. Percentage, we'll have a little closer number after the bills there where we're at. And then also come with ideas of assigning some of those general fund dollars, and also how we want to, if we want to change any of the assignments within the funds, road and bridge or county building fund. So everybody okay with that?
On our general fund, the 4.7 million that's in the economic development highway projects, those are funds that can be assigned or unassigned to that fund, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And same with that
The
614,000
highway
too.
projects also.
Any of those two lines can be reassigned however you like.
It would be really helpful, Stephanie and I had this conversation, for me anyway, it'd be really helpful, in passing, if we had an idea of when we thought we might build the detention center. I understand we don't know how much it's going to cost, but are we looking at spending those monies in 2017, 2018, 2019? Because that makes a difference on how long we have to save for the detention center.
Well, we're going to have bills in 2017 for the architects
Exactly.
and engineers.
Right, but not 9 million.
No, no, God, I hope not. No. But they'll give us a timeline at our next meeting. That's the plan.
Okay.
So I can't tell you now when.
Okay. And do you
And,
have
I
an
mean-
idea, Marty, when any of your conversations, when we're looking at actually building, or no idea yet? Okay.
Well,
I think
we'll
we're
have to look at
hopeful.
those. We'll have to get a presentation from them on
Right.
final costs
Yeah.
and say,
Yeah.
is this
So
efficient
it's-
use of dollars? If it's going to be $9-10 million, do we even want to do this? I mean, that's what we're going to have to find out. Or do we want to go a totally another direction if it's going to gain us certain space, but space is rather expensive. So
It's just my thought, if we're trying to decide if we're looking at putting money into the detention center fund, do we have 3 years to save enough, or do we only have 2 years to save enough? Because it would maybe make a difference, in my perspective, how much we would maybe want to look at allocating to that fund this year. If we're looking at building 5 years from now, again, that's an entirely different number. And the one thing we haven't talked about, and maybe everybody's already got this in the back of their minds, but maybe we need to look at some of that money for the OAC, but depending on where we're going to be at on that, because that will be, if something happens with that, that'll be a next year expenditure.
I think there's ways we could think about, are we going to build it all at once or phase it in, Now, I'll talk to the architect. I'll call him and see if he can just give us a little rough ballpark figure of this last design now, because he was getting more space and things like that. He could probably give us a relevant.
Well, and phasing was what we discussed. The new part would be,
Right away, and
yeah.
I'd like to start phasing in spring.
So you're thinking possibly some building in 17? Okay, I hadn't heard that. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they'd like to have it out to bids, but I think that's a little bit.
Just have to decide if we're going to phase it in, because we're talking, they talk about 5 to 10 million.
Mhm.
I know that's a big difference. We can probably get a little better ballpark figure.
Well, and the other thing that we need to take into consideration is the possibility we're going to have to bond what we don't have, and that takes time. So, it's hard to know right now.
and I guess I'd like to see what the phases cost, a breakdown of what we're getting in each phase, and if there's a realistic possibility of phasing it in. Because sometimes you turn around, you add a phase to it, and it's like, well, because it cost you more in manpower because of the inefficiencies of it. And instead, if we did this, it would be better, you know. So I think the phase is an important decision for me. I'm just speaking on my behalf on you know, a phase is $2 million or another phase is 2.5. Let's do 2 of these and then wait on the next one, I guess is my thought. But that's what I'd like to see a little bit too. So, all right. Okay, so we will take this up next meeting too. So, any more comments? Okay, we'll move on to Commission Department Director Report.
Included, my staff report was included in the packet. The very first thing was the Swift Health Center Advisory Board, which I had this report obviously done before I got the application. We kind of got that in at the last second, so that is taken care of. On your desk this morning, and I included the survey in the packet, but on your desk are hard copies of a survey, a comprehensive economic development strategy survey that First District Association has asked me to distribute out to each of you. They're asking that each of you, we could do it in a number of ways, but I think the easiest is just for each of you to do the survey, your own personal thoughts and opinions, and then next Tuesday, if you could turn those into me at the meeting or whenever, but if you get it done before that, that's fine too. And then I will compile the surveys and get them all together and send them off to First District. So the hard copies of those are in front of you. Also in my report, we had discussed the different departments starting to do some public service announcements in newspapers and radio stations, so I've spelled out kind of what all of the different departments have done, are thinking about doing, getting that information out to you so you know that we've done pretty well so far with getting some information out.
And I think that was something in our department head reports that we talked about, and we'd like to see that, and we appreciate the visibility of department heads and the ability to get out and make those. Somebody's going to hear them. It's going to help somebody, and I think we just need to continue to do that. So thank you for taking the time and running to the radio station or writing up articles and stuff like that too. So.
And then the state's attorney's office had asked me to include this juvenile diversion funds, the state awards juvenile diversion funds to counties. It was a press release, but sent out in an email, and I believe, did you, Terry or Abby, had forwarded this to me and asked me to include it in your packet, and it shows what counties all received in that, for that program. So.
Do anybody know why Pennington County got so much more than Minnehaha? I mean, a lot. I mean, just jumped.
Then we have the general fund surplus analysis. The history is included with my report. Also handed out today the Stewards of Progress from SDSU Extension. That handout was on your desks this morning. A couple with Clyde's retirement coming up at the end of the year and end of next week. There's a couple different retirement celebrations that we're going to have for him. We're having one with the county here in this room on the 29th. That's next Thursday from 2 to 4. And then they're also having one at the Elks Lodge for him on December 30th, starting at 5 o'clock. And that handout for both of those got handed out and placed in front of you this morning. Yesterday, just to kind of give you an update to yesterday, we had a very quick power glitch here in the building, and I think it was kind of citywide from as we started visiting with others, and it was just a split-second power glitch, and we had some issues here this morning. I'm glad the microphones came on this morning. Sometimes when we have just the slightest bits of power glitches, we have issues in this room specifically, but last night both Sean and Aaron, our maintenance guy for the building, ended up here during the night because they were both received warnings of high temperatures in the server room, and so that power glitch threw off the HVAC system just enough to get the stop the coolers from working properly, I guess, for lack of knowledge in that area. But the server rooms were starting to get very, very warm, and they both ended up here last night for about 45 minutes to an hour, resetting the HVAC system, getting that to work, and cooling down those server rooms. And they took care of it. The issue resolved itself after they were able to reset things, but they likened that to the power glitch that took place. And like I said, it was just a split second, but this building with the technology that we have can definitely be affected when something like that happens. So, oh, yeah. And the only other things are just some, offices will be closed for the upcoming holidays. Friday at noon we'll close from noon to 5 this Friday, and then we're closed next Monday, the 26th, and then again on Monday the 2nd. So that's all I have, unless you have any other questions for me.
I just wanted to make a comment on the public service announcement. That's just great. But it did occur to me when Bob was giving his report, that issue with where the safe place is for people during tornadoes and stuff. Maybe that would be a good public service thing. Not so much where the location is, because there's so many of them throughout the county, but how to find the location. That might be a good public service announcement.
All right. Deputy State's Attorney's report. Here.
As you guys, I believe, last meeting met Brittany McKnight. She's up and running and has been doing court on her own. So we appreciate you guys letting her start December 1st. We've started the transition of everybody moving to their different duties, and it's been a big help in our office. I would note that due to Marcy's Law, staff, and that of course doesn't include Abby, myself, or Brittany, has logged 69.75 hours of overtime. If you look at the year of 2016, that's a quarter of our overtime for the year. So that's just in 1 month of Marcy's Law. So it is a lot of work. And so just to keep that in mind, that lots of weekends, lots of late nights, trying to make sure that we're in compliance. So
Is the part-time person that you have for that, is that the main person doing those, or is everybody contributing to the overtime?
we're all helping out because, of course, it was retroactive. So any pending file, we had to contact victims, bench warrants, anything. So our part-time right now is full-time doing just that. And then I, of course, call victims because we have to notify them before any hearings. So that means someone comes into court for a weekend pickup. We have to try to notify the victim if there's some sort of victim before we can see them in court. So there's a lot of hustling around in the office Monday mornings and just in general to get feedback and input on how the case is proceeding.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. Commission reports. Leanne.
On December 6th, we had county planning and zoning. As you know from the two plats, we passed those, and it was the shortest meeting we've ever had. And made up for the night before when we were there until almost 11. On December 8th, I attended the HDR presentation with the rest of you with the city on 20th Street, which was very interesting. We had executive session on the 9th. On the 12th, went to the East Brookings business meeting. And again, when they handed out their list of businesses that are on the east side and how that group, where it's over 40 entities, or excuse me, over 50 entities that contribute to economic development in the city of Brookings and Brookings County, it's just amazing. On December 13th, went to the Leadership Brookings with the rest of you, followed by our executive session, attended the county potluck on the 12th, did sit in on the 14th, did sit in that day on some of the city is currently hiring a consultant to do their comprehensive master plan for them, and sat in on some of the interviews, which was interesting. Eventually, we're going to all talk joint jurisdiction, but I'm not quite sure when that's going to happen. And went to the chamber mixer on the 15th and the Mirrors celebration of service that day also.
All right. Larry.
On the 6th of December, we had commission. I did go to the Ag Appreciation Banquet out at the Swiftel. Also on the 7th, I attended the Conservation District meeting. They're kind of doing some year-end counts and everything and wrapping their year up. On Thursday, 4 o'clock, we had a city meeting with the city on the 20th Street overpass. Also on the 9th, executive session. On the 12th, I also attended the East Brookings Business District at Daktronics. Did the leadership Brookings on the 13th, followed by executive session, and I attended the potluck and enjoyed it. Very good food, and that's all I have.
Right, go ahead.
On the 7th, I had a weed board meeting. Misty updated us on the payment status for the Gophers and the township spraying, and we discussed workforce issues and how hard it is to hire. I visited with Mr. Hill that day concerning gun club concerns, which prompted, was part of the reason I think this letter was prompted. December 8th, I attended the HDR briefing on the 20th Street overpass interchange jointly with the city. It was interesting, and I thought, I hope somebody took a picture of all of us sitting up here. It's the first time since I've been a commissioner that we've all, we've done a joint venture like that, and it was enjoyable. On December 12th, I attended the East Brookings meeting, and they are so cordial to the county. It's kind of a pleasure to go there and listen to what everybody's doing, and it's almost another reinforcement of what's happening, the powers that be, and so it's pretty interesting. On December 13th, with the rest of you, I talked to Leadership Brookings, and we had 2 executive sessions. On December 14th, we had a meeting. I went to a little meeting with the state's attorney's office. On December 15th, I had domestic abuse. Our accountant gave her financial review findings, and she commended our staff. And so that was kind of nice. And we're in a pilot program of at work. And what that is babies under 6 months are going to be coming to work with mothers. And we'll see. They thought it was a perfect fit at the domestic abuse shelter because there are small children there anyway. And so we're going to try that and see how it works. And then that evening I attended the mayor's celebration of service, and that was a very nice celebration.
Right.
That's all.
Tom?
Okay, 8, 12, 13, I was there with you folks. 16th, Growth Partnership met, and it was my last meeting, and 4 years there with those folks, and boy, has that ship been turned around. I will say, though, that the sails are out, and they're heading the right direction, but it still needs a little wind in its sails, so don't quit, please. They did have a strategic plan, it was shortened a little bit because of the weather, a couple hours or so, with 2 consultants that are involved with the North Carolina Research Park and Louisiana State University. And that, Ryan would love this, a strategic plan. They have a whole bunch of things they're going to begin working on. Some things we haven't thought of. We have to adjust to our market, of course. And they have due dates and a lot of discussions. Whoever gets on the Growth Partnership Board will have quite a few meetings, and as they hammer away at some of the new projects they got going. So keep that in mind. And then we were talking about the water meeting this afternoon, which I don't think I can make, but the latest issue of Kingbrook Water System, which I'm a member of, had a riparian water discussion with great pictures many of you have all seen, but also had about nitrates in the Sioux River and how high they are in some places. And it was interesting down there by that Skunk Creek where they've been doing a lot of that work is how it's cleaned up the nitrates. Originally that was kind of an E. coli thing, but if you happen to have a chance to see their Kingbrook just came in the mail yesterday. Maybe I'll drop it off to you. Well, you get it at home. You're Kingbrook. Yeah, so maybe you can put do your magic and put it in your packet, the articles on nitrates and riparian.
I don't know if I've seen it yet at home, but
Okay.
can you get me yours?
I got mine yesterday. But anyway, pretty interesting and a lot of things that affect water.
All right, December 8th was kind of my day for meetings there. I had a PPCC and a POD meeting at noon with Mr. Hill there, and we got an update on the Brush Lake search of everything that. I had affordable housing that day also, and we spent a couple hours there going over ideas of who can, and different ideas of what would affect affordable housing and what they can do and how we can change and different things like that for it. Also had then the overpass meeting, joint meeting with the city and the county, which again went very well. I thought they did a very good job presenting. It was in layman's terms, I thought, which was nice, and came up with a lot of background of how they did their search and their recommendations and stuff like that. So I think that was good. It was a good start, and we appreciated the invitation from the city to join on that. I think it went well. December 9th, we had a meeting with the OAC, a few representatives of the OAC in the morning, discussing with them that agreement. And so had that for a little bit, and that went well. Then December 12th, attended the East Brookings business meeting at Daktronics, and that went well. I gave a short update of projects we have going on and did that. And so it was a good showing there. Good to see everybody over there. And then also on the 13th, then had the Leadership Brookings and then executive session after that. And then on the 14th, did meet also with Stephanie, with the state's attorney on that there too. I wasn't able to make the potluck afterwards, so, but busy meetings. So anything else? All right, then we have executive session scheduled, so I'd look for a motion to move into executive session in accordance to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, number 4, contract negotiations. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.